Hello everybody and welcome to the MoneyShift YouTube channel. I am Thanasi and today we are going to be reviewing the 1999 Porsche Boxster. Now this is not an S, this is not a special edition model, this is your base run-of-the-mill Boxster, and this was back in an era where Porsche was doing one of the most controversial designs in their history. This is the era of the fried egg, and I gotta be honest with you guys, as someone who grew up with this car, someone who literally had a poster of this car in various places of their lifetime, I love it. So you're not going to catch me out here saying this looks bad and I want something else, because you're wrong. I think it looks terrific. Now this one here, you know, it's a little worn. She's seen some stuff. It's a 1999 with 130K, but it is in decent mechanical condition and comes with the OEM hardtop, which is a great plus. Now, the 1999 Porsche Boxster, the base model came with a 2.5-liter flat six engine that is normally aspirated. This engine is putting out 201 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque through a 5-speed manual transmission. Now, this car doesn't weigh much, 2,800 pounds in manual form, and because of that, it does 0 to 60 in 6.7 seconds. So this thing isn't rip your face off fast, but it's also not slow either. And that mid-engine rear-wheel drive platform really gives this thing a very balanced feel. 205 tires in the front, 225 tires in the rear. This thing comes to play, and I think it looks terrific. I love the style of these taillights. I think the car's overall design is beautiful. Now, this one specifically, she's got some stuff. Small little tear there, or whatever crack there, but it's all good. It's all gravy. The car runs, the car drives, and the car cost under $10,000. Now, making our way to the inside, the car is relatively spacious. I'm 6 feet, 285 pounds, and you'll see me in a second. I fit in this car just fine. A lot more room here than something like an ND Miata. Check out that 993 steering wheel. Now, again, this car's missing some stuff. Look at the fuse panel, needs a cover, but overall, the most important things are there. And again, this is an example of a car that you can get in today's market under $10,000. And that's really important to say, as a lot of cars are being inflated. So with that aside, let's get out on the highway so we can see what this car can do, shall we? Okay, let's get up to speed on the highway portion in the 99 Boxster. So I'm going to be honest with you guys, we picked the worst day. I don't know what it is. It's raining out. But it is what it is. We got the hardtop on. Hopefully it's on right and doesn't fly off during the filming of the highway portion, but I guess we'll find out. So before I throw you guys the keys to give you a quick blast on the highway, let's talk about some of the things that I've experienced so far with this car on the highway. So the biggest shortcoming, and you'll see it as we get up to speed and when you guys get behind the wheel, is the fact that this base Boxster only has 5 gears. Now, that isn't really a problem in the sense that it still cruises just fine, but when you're at speed in 5th gear, the RPMs do start to creep up. And even though this car does a really good job at isolating the unwanted road noise, you can't get over gearing when it comes to engine noise, especially when the engine is literally right behind you. So as we merge up to the highway here, we do have good speed, good power. This isn't gonna throw you in the back of your seat, but it has more than enough to get up to highway speeds. And as we cruise here, to give you guys sort of an RPM check, we're doing 55 miles an hour at around 2,000 RPM. So that really is where this car is happy in 5th gear. Now, in terms of road manners, this car does an incredible job at navigating bumps, and it does it really well. And again, the isolation for a convertible is very impressive. I know we have the hardtop on, but the fact of the matter is you guys can probably hear me a lot more clearly than even in some of the other cars we've done reviews in. Usually in this portion, we like to talk about the sound system as well. I'm going to be honest with you guys, it's not so hot. I don't know if it's as a product of Boxsters just aren't hot in general, or if it's this car specifically. So I'm not going to give it harsh remarks on that. Just know that you're not buying this car because you're an audiophile, right? But with that said, As we're cruising along here at 60 miles an hour at around 2,200 RPM, we're very comfy. And we could do this for a long time. Now, I'm a bit bigger, okay? I'm 6 feet, 285-ish. And with that, I don't fit into these seats as nice as an average person should. But even myself at this sort of height and weight, I'm comfy enough to do a couple hours journey, no problem in this car. So, what are the overall takeaways from the Boxster on the highway? Well, it's pretty clear that it's from a premium brand. The insulation in here for a convertible is very good. The highway manners are very good. This car handles expansion joints and bumps very well. And the sound is great. Can't argue with the noise of that flat six. It sounds incredible, even if it's only making a couple hundred horsepower. But I'll give you guys the keys, and obviously I'm gonna have some side seat commentary, but let me know what you think. All right, as I put you guys behind the wheel, I'm going to have you take this first on-ramp here and pull up to the highway, get to about 50, 65 miles an hour, and you'll start to see what I mean. Watch the revs and where they are when you hit highway speeds. The 5 gears on this base Boxster really does limit you. Now, I know you're wondering, what are those 2 lights? Don't worry, the left one is a faulty pad sensor. The right one is an airbag because I got some stuff. I left some stuff on the driver's seat, so that's what that is. Don't worry about it. I appreciate your restraint here, by the way. Thank you for that. But see right here, you're at 60 miles an hour, and you're hovering around 2,500. And let's be honest, no one drives 60, 65 on a highway with the speed limit at 65. So pretty much what I'm saying here is if you hit that 70, 75 mile an hour mark, you're going to be well over 3,000 RPM. And at the very least, the engine sounds great, so that's good news. But you can sort of see it here. The window is, in fact, open. And even with the window being open, on the driver's side, not that side, dude, you don't really hear much. You don't. Listen to this crisp downshift that you're going to have here because how easy this engine is to drive. You put the blinker on a little early there, but I respect how careful you're being with my car. Thank you so much for that. Boom, easy, seamless, nice heel toe there. Good work. Pulling off this on-ramp, you get your first sense of how smooth this steering is. Look at that composure over those bumps. The car didn't react, the steering wheel didn't move. The 4-wheel independent suspension takes that really well. So off this, you're going to take a right and then pull into the next section, the little strip mall there on the right, and then we will swap seats and do the back roads portion, and then I'll give you guys a chance behind the wheel. Overall, you can definitely tell this is a premium car, right? Obviously, this car in its current state is under $10,000, but small little things that this car does show you. Whew. That sound being one of them, but also the composure at speed being the other. This is definitely a car that at one point in its life had a higher MSRP than a Miata. So as we pull into here, I'm going to take the reins back and we are going to go to the back roads portion for some fun. Okay, now we are off the highway. I gave you guys a chance behind the wheel. Now let's get to the real reason why we purchased this car. Downshift from 4th into 3rd, no problem. Heel towing in this car is a breeze. Slow down as we get on this off-ramp, and let's go into the back road portion of this drive. Now, it's no secret that the reason why I purchased this vehicle was to do track days with a lower consumable cost, but in a mid-engine vehicle. I'm really excited to get this thing out on the track, and in the back roads is really where this thing is home. The mid-engine placement gives you really good weight distribution front to rear, and it really allows this thing to connect corners very well. The steering on this car is very precise and very direct. Now, we talked about the transmission only having 5 gears, which is an absolute bastard on the highway, but it's not a problem really here on the back roads because you're mainly leveraging third and fourth. I'm in third gear right now doing 38 miles an hour. I'm at 3,000 RPM. So I got plenty of room in this third gear to really just let her eat. You know what I mean? Now, the independent suspension all around does a good job at handling the weight in the corners, and the steering itself has the exact amount of weighting that you would want in a car like this. Where you point it is where the car goes, and the weighting supplies that confidence you need to really just continue to go. Now, this isn't a fast car. This isn't like another car I've reviewed on the MoneyShift channel, my 996 C4S. This is a momentum car. This is like a mid-engine Miata that cost a little more expensive new. And because of that, you sort of change your driving style versus something that's more brutish. It's a lot more finesse. It's carrying more speed into corners and relying on the car's capabilities to really just motor you through it. And this car does all of that and more. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you, you're going to be hard pressed to find something that's as fun to drive as this for under $10,000, because remember, fun doesn't equal speed. Just because I'm doing 30 miles an hour when an equivalent priced Camaro can do 60 doesn't mean that I'm having less fun than that Camaro. In fact, I might actually be having more fun. So that is something to keep in mind when you're considering cars like these. But that sound's a good one, and it's right behind your ears. This flat six really does sound dynamic, and you can tell that this Porsche loves to rev high. This car wants to be above 3,000 at all times in the backroads portion, because that's where the power starts to come in, and that's where this car really starts to become alive. Now, one of the last things that we talk about in this backroads portion is the braking. Now, with 4-piston brakes front and rear, this thing has plenty of stopping power to reduce you from high rates of speed, and it does it really effectively. The brake pedal is strong, and it's very linear all the way through. As you give more to the brakes, it gives you the equivalent amount more back. It's the exact amount of communication you're looking for in a brake pedal. I can't stress enough how well this car is set up. Now, is it the fastest thing in the world? Again, no, it is not. But that does not mean you cannot have fun with it. But with that, I'm going to let you guys get behind the wheel. I'm going to riff off some of the stats again for you, and you'll see for yourself what I mean in the backroads portion where this car comes alive. So let me pull over so you guys can get behind the wheel. All right, now you're going to pop a UE right here. At the light, you're going to go right through it. Now notice as you make this U-turn, this car has an incredible turning radius. Oh yeah, sweet. Yeah, see, you overcompensated because you thought you needed the full lock. You didn't. Don't worry about it. So again, you're going to go right through this light, and that's where the road gets a little bit curvy. Again, it's residential, so we're not going to be doing crazy speeds, but you'll get an understanding for the car's dynamics through this section. Now, at this red light, I want you to feel how heavy this clutch is. Now, it's not heavy in the sense that this is some sort of stage 3 clutch, but if you're used to a car from 2010 or above, the suspension itself is definitely a little bit heavier. I mean, the suspension, Jesus, not drunk, just in the passenger seat while someone else is driving my car in the rain on the back road, so excuse me for being a little bit paranoid. I don't mean suspension, I mean clutch. The suspension, the 4 independents, is beautiful. The 4-piston brakes front and rear are solid. Okay, you're really gonna track the wipers there? Whatever you want to do, you know what I mean? What I don't like about the wipers, though, is that this is the slowest setting. That is very, very frustrating. All right, this light's going to hit green. All right, riding a little clutch there. You all right? It's okay. You're getting used to it. Nice crisp shift into second. Bang third. You're shifting at 3K. You all right? Yeah, there you go. Give it a little beans. Okay, I appreciate the respect you're having for my car in the rain here, but you're really starting to get a sense. Look at through the corners here, how you do not see the car really move at all. It's very planted. Now, I know the quality of asphalt on this road is exceptionally high, but it still remains that there is not a lot of body roll in this car, and the balance is really, really good. Now, the brakes, 4-piston front and rear, provide a lot of bite early on and a consistent pedal throughout. This car is just a blast to drive on a road like this that is very much about linking corners together. Give it a little. All right. Okay, yeah, I appreciate you giving it some speed like I told you, but slow it down. We're on residential roads. Thank you for bringing it back to within the speed limit. And yeah, guys, this is just a really great car to drive. Now, notice throughout this whole time, okay, we're in a convertible, and I know we have the hardtop, but you do not hear a lot of information outside of the car. This is very much so communicative, very much so isolated, and you can communicate, you can have a conversation in here very easily, which is the same that can be said about a lot of convertible vehicles. Now, if this was a theoretical video and not you guys actually driving, your eyesight would be about the height of a 5'10.5" individual, just to get a sort of concept for how tall you are in the cabin there. Alright, as we pull up to this Lexus, let's actually convert over to an around-the-town portion where I'm going to walk you guys through what I think about the Boxster and if you should buy one. I hope you enjoyed your time behind the wheel, and I appreciate how courteous you were over the course of this. If you guys have any more questions that you couldn't think of when you were on your test drive, no worries, just drop them in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them for you. Let's hit that around-town portion and wrap up this review. Thank you so much for joining today. As we get to the around town portion, we're going to talk a little bit more about the Boxster and if you guys should buy one. So, what are the things you need to know about how this car does around town? Well, you guys saw it, and you felt it. I know you did, even if it doesn't really feel like that. But, but you noticed that this car has a couple things that don't necessarily make it the easiest. If you guys are used to driving a modern manual machine, and I classify modern as anything past 2010, you're not used to a clutch this heavy, you're not used to a steering that has this feel, but also is this heavy. So if a light clutch is important to you, you're not gonna get it in this car. That's not to say that you can't daily drive something like this. The clutch is very communicative and it is very easy, but it certainly is a little heavier than something you would find in, say, a 2020 Civic Si or something like that. Now, in addition to that, we talked about the sound system woes, but that's probably just isolated to this car. And other than that, I mean, it is a really comfortable machine. Even just putting around town here, hitting potholes, hitting things in the road, whatever that is, this car soaks up the bumps no problem. This fully independent suspension does a really good job at keeping you comfortable as you just putt around town. So that begs the question, should you purchase a 986 Boxster or Boxster S? Now, I'm going to caveat, at the time of this video, if you guys are watching this in the future, if you guys are driving this car in the future, 5, 10 years, whatever down the line, these cars right now can be had for around $10,000. This model here specifically was well under that, but it did come with the hardtop, which was good news. If you look long enough, you can find a 986 Boxster S for around $10,000 to $12,000. And what else are you getting for $10,000 to $12,000? At the time of this video, what you're getting is a $10,000 NC Miata. What you're getting is a $15,000 to $18,000 base C5 Corvette, $15,000 FRS. And when you think about it in that realm, where an S2000 is $15K plus, this is a pretty good buy. And yes, the cost of consumables and main parts are going to be a little more expensive than they would be in an NA Miata, but at the end of the day, the sound that you're getting out of this thing alone puts it a cut above the Miata for me. Never mind the fact that it's a mid-engine vehicle. Never mind the fact that it is really well set up from Porsche. Honestly, there's not a lot of things you need to do with this car in order to just get it to the point to where you can hustle it on track. So would I recommend this? 100% I would. I think the 986 Boxster right now is one of the most slept on vehicles you can buy in that sub $15,000 price bracket. Everyone gravitates towards C5 Corvettes, FRSs, Miatas, shitty S2000s. Not that I'm saying the S2000 is shitty. I'm saying a sub $15,000 S2000 is a shitty example. And you can get a pretty good Boxster for that price. You could probably even get an S. Now, my car here definitely needs some things. We got to redo the brakes and give it new tires. But other than that, she runs right. So the price that I paid for, I sort of knew what I was getting into. So with that, guys, that is where we are going to call it a video. Thank you very much for coming along for the test drive. Thank you very much for delivering my car back in one piece after that backroads portion in the rain. I look forward to hearing your thoughts, and let me know, do you think the Boxster is underrated? Do you think I'm right? Is this car slept on?